Hello and welcome to Geek Chic, created for you because intelligent conversation never goes out of fashion. This is the home of business brain candy, and on Geek Chic, we invite subject matter experts in to give their insights into how their brand of solutions impacts businesses' bottom line. That's the P&L, not the VPL. And in each episode, we guarantee scintillating, insightful, educational and emotional discussions to give you a very different view of a subject that could significantly improve your business. Hello and welcome to Geek Chic, created for you because great conversation never goes out of style. And we have the fabulous Sarah McKee Harris, who's going to guide our way through the whole wonder that is psychometric profiling, specifically disc profiling, which all of us geeks actually love to pieces and is a core part of what we do with our leadership. So, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Give the audience a little sort of a whistle-stop tour through your career, because this is a new-ish venture for you.
Yeah.
You are a serial entrepreneur. How did you get to this point and your expertise?
This whole thing really for me started 20 years ago. I fell out of university after many attempts to get a degree. And like a lot of people, when they came out of uni with, a fair bit of debt and me still not knowing what I wanted to do with my life, fell into the world of recruitment. And at the time, I didn't realise it, but now I look back, I was extremely lucky that I fell into a specialist role of recruitment within the HR profession, which basically meant that I was putting HR professionals into roles in companies in London. And that's really where my passion for people came in. And I think a lot of people say the worst thing you can say if you're in an interview and people say, why do you want to work in HR? If you say that you love people, that's definitely not the job for you. But controversial. It is we'll come back to that. Yeah, exactly. But I think for me, it sparked my interest in human behaviour. I'd actually come out of uni with a marketing degree, and my favourite module in that degree was consumer psychology.
Oh, wow.
Unbeknownst to me, it's really that kind of understanding about what got people going, what made people want to buy things. And I guess looking back, that kind of psychology bit has followed me through with my interest in people and workplace and workforce psychology. So it all started out in recruitment. Boo, hiss, recruitment agencies.
That's where I started.
You know what? Yeah. And like I said, a lot of people have tried it or carried on with it. And it's a different world now, 20 years later. And actually, I have stepped away from that space now because it's kind of I've lost my love a little bit for it, just because it has changed a lot in terms of technology and being a bit separate from that. But in terms of the HR piece, I carried on working in recruitment. I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to start up my own recruitment firm in 2018. And that started off really well, quickly grew. This was before COVID. I was doing a lot of local networking. As we know, I do a lot of networking.
You are the queen.
Well, yeah, I do get around in many ways. So I was networking locally with Essex businesses at the time, and I was finding that although they needed HR, they didn't need me to actually put an HR person in their business full time. So I saw an opportunity. I thought, okay, I will start outsourcing. So I hired a fantastic qualified HR manager, and we started as an HR consultancy and outsourcing business. We carried on with the recruitment because it's all interlinked. But that's kind of where Kingswood Group grew. And I took that through a big journey of growth, as many people will know, and absolutely loved it. It's challenging. As we know, running a business and managing people is very challenging. And now I have first-hand experience of that. And then I was able to sell that business across a couple of years in different transitions. So April 2024, I came out and thought, oh my God, what am I going to do with myself? Took some time out to assess what I wanted to do, what I enjoyed doing. It still evolved around people. And that's when I decided to take on and set up Team Ambition. So Team Ambition is purely focused on DISC personality profiling. I've been certified as a practitioner in that for 2.5 years now. And so my mission now is to really show people the power of DISC, what behavioural psychometric profiling can do for businesses in terms of not just understanding their people and people working better together, but how it can literally impact your directly impact your bottom line in a positive way.
Yeah, and also understanding yourself.
Understanding yourself.
And why people don't understand you.
Well, that's right. Yeah, understanding yourself is the key part.
Yeah.
And then it's learning how to understand other people around you and their styles. And then the kicker, which is the real value bit, is then understanding how to adjust your style to meet other people so that you get a more effective relationship and outcome. So, yeah, I love it. It's really interesting, and it's amazing and very rewarding to see the impact, that light bulb moment that people get when they do the assessment and how they have the training in the workshop with other people.
I am a massive fan of disc. As you know, us geeks do love a bit of disc. Yes. And the things that it can bring and those dynamics are absolutely fascinating. And you don't, it's the thing is that what it does is it flushes out the issue, if you want to call it issues. I think it's the understanding of who you are.
That's
and
the key word.
How you speak and how you communicate and how you also receive information as well as give information. But it is utterly fascinating, and we're going to explore all kinds of things. So having spent your career working in the field of people, what in your opinion is the biggest thing that business leaders get wrong when it comes to managing people?
So look, there's lots, but I would say the biggest thing is communication.
Hell yeah.
It all stems from communication, and DISC, which is, just to go back slightly for people who have not heard of DISC before.
Give us an overview.
Yeah, so DISC is a behavioural psychometric assessment and tool that businesses and individuals can use. It doesn't have to be groups of people. Individuals can use this as well to better themselves and understand themselves and others. And ultimately, the theory is that everybody is a mix of one or two personality styles, and those styles are dominant, influencing, steadiness and conscientiousness. And each of those four styles brings different strengths and areas where people feel challenged. And it purely comes down to their makeup, right? We're all unique, as we know. We're like onions, and you peel us away. And one of those layers is our personalities and our behaviours. So, for example, my DISC profile is a dominant influencer, which I know is yours.
And every other geek that is out there as well, I think, apart from maybe one or two bluey ones.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I had a bit more blue or C. But basically what that means
people
is...
skills, I say.
Yeah.
Absolutely zero in that one.
Right, let's everyone has something to bring to the table. Won't forget that, right? So every the key thing is that every style is of equal value and equal priority. So no one is better than the other, although I know you think otherwise.
Reds are.
But a dominant influencer, for example, is fast-paced. It sort of tends to take on a strong leadership role, gets bored easily, doesn't have great attention to detail, likes kind of high-level information and to work at pace, and loves a challenge and tends to be a bit of a risk taker. Now, I'm sure we all know those sorts of people.
They tend to be entrepreneurs, right?
A lot of them do.
They're not always the best people to lead.
Well, no.
Even though we put ourselves in those positions of dominance, because that's who we are.
Yeah.
It's, from my point of view, it's all around servant leadership, which comes in the steadiness profile.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of servant leadership.
Yeah.
And I think what DISC, the profiling tool, gives to people is an understanding about themselves. Look, we all go through life. We learn about ourselves, right? Mainly through trial and error. But actually,
more error than
depending on what happens in your life. But ultimately, to have it written down and shown in front of you, laid out, and then having that information about other styles.
Yes.
Just allows you. I mean, I always say you don't know what you don't know, right? And it's really true in this case, because once you have this knowledge, and it doesn't matter what style you are, but having that knowledge about your style and that understanding, and then understanding the other styles and what they can bring to the table and their strengths, which complement your challenges, right? Mm-hmm. Just shows you the importance of having a real diverse group of people around you, especially in business.
Yes.
Because you can't do it all. You know, there's something like less than 1% of people in the whole world who are an equal disc profile.
Very
they're just
rare.
literally they're almost non-existent. So everybody is going to be in one of those four, you know, core areas, and having that understanding about what that means just allows you to go, right, well, I'm going to be better at this, which means I've got a bit of a gap here. I need somebody who's got a bit more attention to detail, who's going to be able to problem solve and challenge in those areas, or be a bit more analytical, because that's not my natural strength. Now, I can do it, but I say this about when I was running my business before I took on a finance manager. You know, I'm not a natural accountant. You know, it takes a lot of hard work for me to go into the numbers, you know, see those figures, understand them. And so for me, I can do it, but it's exhausting. I mean, even it's a bit of a running joke. If I was on the phone to my accountant, I'd need to sleep afterwards because it would just be like so intense. But for other people, that's their natural thing, and that's what they're great at. You know, the worst thing for a conscientious person might be that they have to go out and sell, you know, which is an influence thing, natural strength, because they love collaboration, they love building relationships, they're enthusiastic, they get energy from other people. That would be a C-star's worst nightmare. And they could do it, but they'll find it exhausting because it takes a lot more effort and challenge. So going back to the communication, sorry, I've gone off par a little bit.
No,
You get
that's perfect.
excited about it. It's giving people context as well, is if you understand who you are, and that does translate into how you communicate. But I know that, for example, when I had my last business and I had a team of people, we were all disc profiled. Right. So I knew that if I was going into a conversation with somebody in my team who was an S style, a steady person, a steadiness, that they might find me a bit aggressive if I had my natural just go dominant style all in, right?
It's really funny you say aggressive, because when I got my disc profile executive thing, like in the first profile, I got aggressive 3 times. I'm like, what are they trying to say here?
What are you saying? Are you saying?
Yeah.
Prime example, right?
Yeah.
But because I'm conscious of that, I can then go, right, I'm going to have this conversation with this person. If I don't tone it down and try to think, how are they going to receive this information based on their personality style, that is going to make a huge difference with how that piece of communication and that meeting outcome is, right? So this is where the value comes in within the workplace, although I do joke, as you know, that once you know this information, you can use it in any situation, any relationship, any piece of communication. But in the workplace specifically, you know, you think about when you've gone into a meeting and it might be a new boss, right? So you've got a new boss, they don't know you, you don't know them, and you kind of go in a bit like, oh, and say, for example, they are a C style and I'm a D style, and they are going all in about me not putting information on the system and where's the detail and why haven't I written this report? And I'm literally just going to be like, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
And so if we had done our profile and that manager had come in and seen that I'm a D, if they are, you know, a good manager, they will have adjusted their style. And so they will be like, right, here's the high level information. This is what we need. Go do it. Rather than bogging me down in looking at reports and data and not really giving me the style of communication and management I need to thrive and be successful.
Because it's that diametric opposition
Yes.
that really kind of
That's where it really blows up.
really blows up. That really blows up. And I've got a brilliant story about me and my other half, and we could not communicate. Like, when things were good, we got loads in common, love all the same things, live the same way, related values, all of that. And yet it kept blowing up. And we got to the point where I was like, well, you know, we're going to have to do something. So we did a disc-based conflict resolution thing that we did. Yeah. I did with a couple of clients because they were exactly the same. I'm like, I can see some flaws here. Anyway, we did this. And I'm a red yellow, which is the DI, and she's a CS, blue green. Literally the opposite. Yeah. And so we literally talk different languages. Yeah. But having that in front of us and knowing that and using that as a tool, you know, it says how to speak to Lisa, how not to speak to Lisa, how to get the better, what are the values to the, you know, all of that kind of stuff. And we sat and used it as a piece rather than having to, you know, we'd gone through relationship coaching and goodness knows what else. Absolutely we are going to make it work. And completely committed. But this thing just kept getting in the way. Now, we have understanding now. Doesn't make it any easier at times, but you understand. So she knows that she needs to come to me, like, because I was sitting there saying, well, we've got to do X, Y, Z, and I've like done all of the high level stuff, and she's concentrating on something really tiny. I'm like, what? Hang on a minute. We got this big
You're not
thing.
looking at the big picture.
You're not looking at the big picture. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you worried about this tiny little thing, which is really diminishing what she was going through? So, and this happens, it's not just in relationships, but using that professional tool to kind of understand the dynamic.
It takes the heat out of things. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's you generally have a respect for your professionals that you work with, right? And there is.
I would like to think.
Generally, you would like to think that people have a respect for each other.
Yeah, but we don't always pick the people that we work with.
Yeah.
And we don't, you know, and we have to be able to adapt and understand and all of those things. And this is a brilliant tool.
Yeah.
I mean, the book that I started on was Surrounded by Idiots.
Yeah, it's one of my favourites. That's where I
started.
So good.
As well. Did you?
I think it was you that recommended it to me a long time ago. Once I'd already qualified, and I was sort of working through developing my training skills. And the reason I chose DISC, because there are other behavioural psychologists out there. I mean, you've mentioned colours, for example. That's the insight, which is very similar to DISC actually. But the reason I chose DISC is it's easy to understand.
Yes.
And it's easy to remember. I think that's the thing. Like, we've all been on, leadership away days or whatever it is, and we all get together and we all do our profiles, and then we all go back to the desk and put it away and never look at it again.
Yeah.
This is a different tool, and I think the beauty of it, especially so I focus largely on 3 core modules. You've mentioned conflict resolution. That's not one I tend to focus on at the moment. I will develop into the area, but the 3 core I focus on is DISC Workplace, which is quite a generic one. It's something that everyone can do, no matter whether you're the CEO or the doorman, right? You can do it, you're just starting in your career or you're at the end of your career, because it literally looks at everybody's working together. The core thing, as I said, is the first thing you do is literally a 20-minute online assessment. It doesn't take long, and you get immediate report back. And the key thing it tells you is your unique personality style, okay? Yeah. So once you have an understanding of that, we then take you through a training program where you understand the report itself. So who am I? Who are the people around me, and how do I spot them, right? Because there are
you can spot them once you know, right?
You know.
It's that thing where you have something in your brain that you actually recognise. Like, I'm going to go buy an orange car, because there are no orange cars out there. And as soon as you have an orange car, all you ever see is orange cars.
Subconsciously, once you've got this information, you are processing it without realising it. And then, as I said, the final piece of the jigsaw is then understanding how to then adjust your style to get the best out of that relationship with that person. So that's workplace. And then management, what it says on the tin really, is for the managers. So once you've got your team profiled and you're profiled, it's then having that learning to get a better management relationship going. What's going to motivate them, what's going to demotivate them, how's the best way to communicate with that person, how not to. But it also helps you look at roles as well. Yes. And that's why it's quite interesting that people look at it as part of the recruitment process. In this country, it's actually quite difficult to find good talent, and then retention is a big issue as well. And I think just through experience, we know now it's not just about hiring for skills and experience. A lot of it is around actually looking at team fit and culture fit and role fit. And the DISC profiling results of the four styles, like I said to you, each style will have different strengths or natural affinities as part of their personality and behavioural approach. So, for example, let's go with the I's, which is the influencing. So the I's, by no surprise, they are natural salespeople.
Yeah. Sunshine
People. They get energy off of being around other people. They're really enthusiastic. They love building relationships. And so, the role of a salesperson or a charity fundraising campaigner, those sort of people who, they tend to, be quite upbeat, outgoing, very relatable. And they're the sort of people you want to build relationships with, right? So if you're hiring into your sales team, you do want that kind of high energy approach, that kind of somebody that's going to be able to build good relationships, is enthusiastic, is going to be results driven as well. So you're at the top end of that disc circle. What you'll find difficult, and I'm not saying that people who are C styles can't be good salespeople.
No, those attention to detail, those account managers, those people who are utterly diligent. Yes, looking at metrics, looking at those kinds of things, can make great leaders.
Yes, but they can do the sales role, but they're just not going to feel as naturally comfortable in it. And again, going back to what I was talking about in terms of those energy levels, they're going to find it quite tiring putting themselves into and stretching themselves into the the influencing piece to go out and do that kind of direct sales piece. So it's something to take into account when you're recruiting. And so I tend to find most businesses I work with, where they use it more successfully, is at the final stage of the interview process. So just before they have that final kind of, let's meet, the final decision makers, you do the assessment with the individual. I mean, it's even better if the company and the team they're joining have already been profiled as well.
Yes, absolutely.
But that's not
so
always
you know
the case.
what the fit is, you know how that's going to relate.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and I've got lots of companies I work with that do exactly that.
Yeah, and same with me. So wherever I've worked with businesses who have profiled all of their team because they've done that as part of a team building exercise and, helping the managers manage their people, they now have that as part of their recruitment process as a standard. So everybody coming into that business will have their DISC profile. And so that when they join a team, they have the same access to the information as everybody else. And again, it helps with onboarding and the retention piece as well, which is what I've mentioned previously, can be quite challenging for businesses in quite a competitive market for good talent. So the DISC profiling tool in recruitment is useful. Shouldn't be used on its own as decision making, because you're a D and you don't want an S in the team, whatever. Because actually, again, I know I'm going back to it, but having that diverse workforce means that you will be able to deliver a more competent service and solution. It drives innovation. Healthy challenge is good.
Yes.
I'm not saying, and actually, if you've got all of the same people, you're either going to be at loggerheads or never move forward with anything.
That's true. This
depending
is very true.
on who you've got, right? So having, and as I said, accounts people, for example, attention to detail, problem solving, getting into the detail, analytics, not afraid to put up their hand because they will challenge. Great to have in a finance team.
Yeah.
Because that's what you want, right?
But also great to have in a sales team as well. When you're pulling things back and going, actually, how realistic is this? And all of those kinds of things. But it is also about what sorts of customers you're selling to, understanding how to communicate and speak in a way that they will understand you.
So this is where DISC sales comes in.
Yes.
And actually, this was my very first experience of DISC.
Oh, really?
I was 18 years old, fresh faced, not anymore. And at the time, I was a gym instructor and I was going to work on a cruise ship. And part of my role, as well as training people who were eating lots of foods on the all-inclusive cruise ships, was to actually to sell them things in the gym. So I was put on this training program, and they used DISC, and that was my very first experience of it. So it was really interesting, and it's actually, probably without me even realising, it's actually helped me throughout my career, because recruitment and running a business, it has a lot of sales involved in it, right? So having that knowledge very early on in my career, before I even went into recruitment, has actually been a really good foundation. So again, you're applying the same kind of foundations. There are 4 main styles, but the assessment you do for the DISC sales is slightly different in terms of what it's pulling out from you. So the results you get are all focused on your natural DISC selling style. So again, same principle. You have your sales style and you have the information from your assessment in a report to give you a very detailed outline of your natural sales style. Then we go into looking at the different buyers' styles.
Yep.
Again, using the same principles. So again, unsurprisingly, I'm a DI sales style. Quite upfront, very forward thinking, doesn't get bogged down in the detail, results driven. I want that sale. But if I'm then approaching a customer whose buyer's style is a C style, and what we know about the C style is they like information, they like to take their time, they like to know the details, they like to be quite critical of information, they don't want to be rushed.
Yeah.
You see the issue, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Again, by having this knowledge about my style, having the knowledge about how to identify buyer styles,
Yes.
because that's the key thing. You've got someone come into your showroom or into your shop. How do you tell?
Yeah.
You're not going to make them do a disc profile.
Well,
Hang on a
that's
minute.
what you
Can
know
you just
about this
stop?
stuff.
Right, exactly. And so by having the training and the report that comes from doing your assessment for the sales, disc sales, you then are able to pick up on what they ask, what they don't ask, what they're interested in, what they like to talk about, what information they want to take away. And you can quite quickly, I mean, you're not going to be exact, right?
No.
But you can quite quickly go, I think they are a C style, or I think they're an S style. It might be that they like to have a bit of small talk and they're talking about family and they want a car that...
Can't relate to those people.
Yeah.
It's like, really?
Exactly. But again, once you know,
Yeah.
you'll be able to then just slightly adjust your style so that you don't scare them off, which is probably what I would do if a C style came in and I didn't adjust my style.
Yeah.
And so then you have a more successful opportunity to make a sale.
Yes.
But not just make a sale, but even with existing clients, you adjust your approach. That account management role. I mean, everyone's selling nowadays. You go to a networking event, the place is full of accountants and lawyers. Now, 20 years ago,
No.
you'd never see accountants and lawyers at a networking event trying to build business. That wasn't their role. They were sat behind a desk doing the numbers or writing a contract. But now the world has changed.
Yep.
It's all about relationships. And what do you have to do to relationship? You've got to communicate with that person.
Yeah.
And if you have a more successful communication experience, they're more likely to buy from you and stay in touch.
Yeah. And connect with you and understand with the business. It's like you don't need to sell to everybody. You just need to sell to the people who believe what you believe. And it is about finding those things. But also, if you want to have a more dynamic portfolio or client relationships and all of those kinds of things, you need to be able to tap into those things. And I guess some people, like the eyes, we can be a bit more adaptive and we can have a little bit more flow because actually we're just really, really interested.
That's naturally your personality, and that's the thing. And that's what it's all about. As I said, we all kind of know each other. We wouldn't have got to this stage in life without understanding a little bit about ourselves. But those extra bits of information, not just about you, but about others, that's where the magic happens.
Yes.
So...
Yeah, and people appreciate it, right? There is a huge amount of appreciation. So we don't hold enough space for people. And when somebody adapts to you and to your style, because there's all kinds of other things that get thrown into these things. So one thing I found talking to lots of entrepreneurs is that they believe they just need more people like themselves, which we know can be a little bit problematic.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And we touched on that, didn't we, just now? But I agreed. I think depending on their style, but most entrepreneurs, you tend to be either like technically amazing at what you do, and therefore you start a business because you're really great at it, right? Yes. Especially if it's kind of it could be a service or a product, to be fair. Yeah. But there's only so far you can go as one person. As we all know, growing a business, you tend to make that decision fairly early on how you want to do it. Are you just going to go alone and work with, partners and outsourcing and associates? Or you get to that point, you go, I need to take on a permanent member of staff. Yeah. And that
one to do, that's the biggest.
It's the biggest one.
It's the biggest jump and the hardest thing to do.
It is hard. Well, I say that I think there's a few phases again from my HR background, but so that first one is like the scariest one, right? Because you're suddenly responsible for someone and you've got to pay pension for someone and national insurance and all that stuff. And you are responsible for them, right? You now have to look after them. You're an employer, they're an employee, and they have rights, as we know. And say, for example, you're an individual who is technically amazing at what you do. Let's just say, for example, you're a C style, right? Slap it in the middle of the sea. So you're not really aware of all this other stuff that kind of comes into managing people and running a business. You're really good at your technical bit, but actually, how do you grow that business? Well, you've got to sell it, right? What else have you got to do? You've got to be able to go out and network. You've got to build relationships with people who are going to understand your product or your service and then refer you. So that all comes down to kind of relationships. So if that's not your natural style to go out and find those people and build those relationships, you're going to struggle a bit. So actually, yes, of course, it's great if you're selling a product and you want somebody else to come on because they're really great at building that product as well. But they're another C style. You're going to get a bit stuck.
You kind of go round and round and round in the same loop.
We're really great at what we do, but nobody knows about it because we're too busy being great at what we do. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So that's where the diversity bit comes in. So if you are a business that wants to grow, you've got to look at the skills and be really honest with yourself. What am I not naturally good at, right?
What? Are we not naturally good at everything?
So like I gave an example, I have a tiny amount of C in my disc profile. It's embarrassing, actually.
Like my tiny amount of S. I got quite a bit of
I thought I'd have a bit more S than I do, but I don't. I must obviously push myself into that space a bit more. But so I feel like I'm talking a different language to people who don't know disc. But if you get a chance, do go online. You can have a look at the website. I do lots of stuff on social media explaining it. But when you get your profile, you'll have a really better understanding of what I'm talking about. So as a business owner, I'm a high D, like literally at the top of it. You can't get any further out of that circle.
I'm like 86% or something. D. And about 83% I.
It's a lot.
Or like
tiny amount. But what that means is that naturally, I know that I'm not great at doing the management accounts, right? The reports and the details. So when I'm running a business, it's quite important to know your numbers, right?
Just the high level stuff.
Just the high level stuff. Don't worry about the detail.
Just give me the bullet point.
But you do need the detail. And that's when you go, right, well, actually, in order to be successful, either I need to step it up and spend more time doing it, which is going to take me away from the stuff I'm naturally good at. Or I need help. And that help can either be, as I said, somebody coming in as initially I was outsourcing that, then I brought it in as an in-house finance manager, which was a massive game changer for me. But there's a point where that happened. But that was how you grow your business, because you have to be, and it's hard sometimes to admit you're not good at everything, but it's actually the best thing you can do. It's the best thing you can do, because then you go, do you know what? I'm actually really good at this. This is where I'm adding value to the business. I need somebody who's naturally really good at that, so they can manage that bit. That's going to allow me to be less stressed worrying that I'm not very good at this bit and get with that bit. So it will help you build a more successful business, because you've got all of those missing skills that you haven't got coming in through other people. And look, it does challenge things sometimes, because we all communicate differently, because we're all coming at things from different angles, right? But again, that is a healthy challenge. If you have that understanding about each other and don't just view it as somebody being just bloody awkward, they're not being bloody awkward, or they might be a little bit, but they're coming at it. They're just seeing it from a different angle. And if
Which
you
is good,
respect
right?
that and value it, exactly that, then you're going to have a much more positive, culture. But also that's how you achieve business success, is through having the right people in the right roles, delivering the right piece of that puzzle.
And it gives you that more rounded, more a bit greater insight. But admitting you're not good at everything. I mean, Peter and I are both regulars, right? Most of the geeks are.
Yeah.
So we know full well that all of the administration stuff and the, all of that stuff, which is the reason why
it's really important.
Our next hire is going to be somebody who can do the operational, people-y, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. Because because it will make us more productive, more effective, and it will bring something much, much different into our business and make us stronger because of it. So absolutely. So all understanding those roles, understanding the people, understanding that you can have yellow accountants.
Yes,
you absolutely. I mean, Dave Malthouse.
Oh yes, yeah. Well, he's always out networking, isn't he? I didn't know he'd been profiled, but
I think Peter Disney is as well.
Okay, that's interesting.
Both yellows.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because they're with their flowery shirts.
Yes.
It's the only way to pick them out of the crowd.
Only way to do it. If you're a yellow, you have to wear a flowery shirt.
I think so.
In Essex, anyway.
Sunflowers, preferably. So how can a disc work really well in the interview and hiring process? Because that's key, isn't it? We all need to know it's such a huge investment to bring somebody else into your business, especially as a small business. Yeah. But like these people can literally make it blow up or make it absolutely explode in the wrong way.
Exactly that, especially in smaller business, because in large businesses, there's a more opportunity to dilute. You've got more people, those kind of different personality styles. I guess in smaller teams will potentially blow up, but actually in the bigger grand scheme of things is less impactful, right? Yeah. Especially if they're not at leadership level. So yes, I think behavioural and personality profiling as part of the interview process is really important, especially when you're taking on key hires. Look, in any small business, making a wrong hire or a bad hire, whatever you want to term it, is going to have a big impact.
Yes.
Right. No matter what level of person they are. Yeah. How they, what role they're doing. Unless they're just sitting at home on their own, not talking to anybody. But even then, email can still blow up because it's a form of communication. Yeah. I won't even go into email because
don't start me on emails.
Don't start you on emails. Yeah. Pick up the phone, talk to each other.
Walk across the room.
Yeah. Exactly.
Do that thing. Go the yellows round the water cooler.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You want to know what's going on? Head over to the yellows. So yeah, exactly. So basically, like I said before, I suggest doing it as part of the process, but towards the end, before you have that final conversation, that final kind of decision-making process. And the reason I say that is it allows both of you, to be honest, the candidate and the interviewers, to be able to look at their report. Now, I do recommend that you allow the candidate to have the report. I think it's I think it's good for them, right? It's good for them to have access to
good insight, especially if you're going to hire, whether you hire and whether you don't, right?
Exactly, yeah. And I think as the employer or the potential employer, as I said before, it's not a decision-making tool in itself, but you do it as part of the process. So if you've had your team profiled, if you've been profiled, it allows you, say, for example, you're the hiring manager and you're interviewing this person, you can look at their profile. So from a management perspective, I'm going to know in advance of hiring that person how I'm going to have to manage them, right? Yeah. Because based on their personality profile, we know that they like this, this, and this. Based on your profile as the hiring manager, you like this, this, and this. So where's that familiar ground? Where's it going to be more challenging? From a team perspective, if the team have been profiled, it's really helpful to see the dynamics, how that's going to work, who are they going to be working with, where are the gaps? I mean, I worked with an insurance brokers earlier this year, and I'm going to be working with them again next month. In February this year, I worked with them and we did a whole company disc workplace workshop. So the whole company did a profile, and then we all got together as a big group and did the workshop. Interestingly, they had been through, just recently acquired another business. Yes. And it was the first time the two offices got together.
Oh, wow.
So
how useful is that?
It was brilliant.
Talking.
Yeah, really good. So, some of them have never met before. The managers who are going to be managing these new people, that was a real opportunity for them to see who was in the team. What came out of it, going back to what we were talking about, is there was, out of 15 people, there was one conscientious person in the whole office, in the whole company.
Really?
And this, jokingly, the CEO said to me, "Oh, I guess our next hire better be a C." But he understood then where, what it showed was the real value that person and their skill set and their behaviours brought to that team. And it opened up their eyes a little bit. And
it's about getting the best out of everybody, and that cross-pollination thing is so ridiculously important.
Yeah. It will show you where there's gaps. It will show you where this personality style might be able to add value in a role where you might need those specific natural strengths and skill sets. And then, the other thing is if, for example, this is where I think it can add value a bit more as well before that final stage, is if, for example, they do come out as a C-style, a conscientious person, and they are interviewing for a sales role, you can really kind of challenge the examples they're giving, the experience they're giving, because we all know people can blag it in an interview, right?
Yes.
They say all the right things.
First 32 minutes, apparently. And then you can't lie after that.
Oh, right, okay. Better make sure my interview is longer than that then. But most experienced people will know what they need to say or what people want them to hear.
Well, they've got the job spec in front of them, and actually people are really rubbish interviewers. So they're not able to pull those things out. They're not able to pull out that information. They're not even, able to always to probe and press.
That's it.
In the places they need
Whereas
to.
if you've got this written down right in front of you, this person is not naturally an outgoing, enthusiastic person that's going to enjoy going out selling, then you've got you've got good evidence to push on it a bit and go, right, you talked about that time when you went and made that sale to that client that you'd never met before. Tell us more about that. And that's where you really are able to get under the skin of it again. Yeah. Because if you didn't know that, you'd just go, oh, that's it, they can do it. That's great. They've said they can do it. Whereas it just gives you that extra bit of information to probe a little bit more. So that's where it's helpful. Some people just use it as part of the onboarding process. If they've already been disc profiled before as a team, it's a really great way for people to get to know each other quicker. And then you can use it as part of appraisals. Again, as a manager, if you know how your team are profiled in terms of what personalities you've got, you can go into that appraisal knowing how to adjust that meeting. You can look at it as part of development, personal development. If you've got somebody who's working in accounts and they want to move into a sales role, you can go, right, these are the areas we need you to get some training on to feel more confident in those spaces. The whole life cycle.
So that brings us brilliantly to our final question, and that is, are there certain businesses that would benefit more than others by using disc profiling?
Well, I think anyone can benefit. I think the ones who are going to gain the most from it are going to be those businesses that are truly people-centric. Not just saying it, but really living it. And everything they do is based around people. And there's a lot of, there's lots of different businesses out there and lots of different business leaders and different business owners. And I think over the years we've seen, there's lots of evidence to say that the businesses that do better are the ones that truly value their people. And that's not just, to value your people, it's understanding your business values and then hiring people based on those values. And then 2, it's about investing in those people. And you don't need to spend a lot of money. When I talk about investing, people go, oh, it's going to cost me loads of money.
No, there's a level of time investment and being present.
Exactly, there's that. And it's really just taking time, as you said, to listen. Not just listen, but then act. That you do employment surveys, you have regular meetings. It doesn't have to be an annual appraisal that never gets looked at again until 2 weeks before the next one. It's just that regular feedback, communication, development. Again, it doesn't have to be an expensive leadership course. The biggest thing that people can do that costs nothing in business to be a successful leader is to say thank you. Right? And to recognise that actually, most businesses wouldn't be here if you didn't have people. No. Right? Absolutely. It's as simple as that.
Those that thrive are all about people cultures.
Exactly that. It's in everything. It's in who you're hiring, who you're developing, who's talking to the customers, who's dealing with the customer complaints, who's managing the suppliers. is everything. People are doing that for you, and that involves other people. And what are they doing? They're communicating and they're building relationships, and having a better understanding about your personality and how you then communicate with other personalities just makes everything easier.
Yeah.
Literally everything. It's as simple as that.
Because you can stand in a room and say one thing to 20 people and 20 people will take something completely different from it.
Yes.
And when you're growing a business and building a business and scaling a business, you have to be able to take people on a journey. Yeah. And depending on their disc profile it will depend on where they feel valued, how they're communicated with, you know, how you get the best out of them, all of that stuff, you know, and it is about communicating that journey, that mission, that vision, you know, and each of those disc profiles will need something different from you to be able to take that on board and join you on that journey. So that's really cool. Thank you so much. It's been interesting.
About it all day, you know.
We know. So we all love a bit of brain candy here. That's what we're here to kind of to get out of this. I love a bit of brain candy. So who's your brain candy hero? Do you have a person, a go-to that you feel is always an inspiration or gives you a new viewpoint?
So he's a bit old school actually, like early 1900s, but there's a couple of people. There's William Marston, who's the guy that originally kind of came up with the disc profile. But slightly later on, I'm sure many of you have heard this line before. He's famous for creating the sentence, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." And this is, I've been going to quite a few events lately where there's been some great speakers. And the key thing that keeps coming through is culture, 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 culture. And the way you create culture is through great people. The meaning behind culture eats strategy for breakfast is that you can have the best business strategy in the world, but if you don't have the right culture in place, which is basically having the right people on board who all know where you're going and are in a business or an environment where they are happy and healthy and motivated and engaged and all going in the right direction, you are not going to achieve that business strategy.
Yeah.
So that's what that means. So you can have the best strategy in the world, but you haven't got the right culture. That's Peter Drucker, sorry.
Peter Drucker. Yes. I have heard of Peter Drucker. I love that. I haven't associated with that, but yeah.
Yeah, so that's just something that keeps coming up, and I've just been rereading some of his work because of it, because there's thousands and millions of wonderful people out there who are thought leaders and have come up with some great stuff over the time. And I mean, you could literally just read all day, couldn't you, or listen to audiobooks all day. And that's something I'll be doing soon when I go away. But just that keeps coming up for me.
So I know we've spoken about that sentence, but what's the best piece of wisdom, the sort of a guiding piece of wisdom that you can share with us and with the listeners and viewers?
So I don't know if there's a guiding piece of wisdom, but people always say to me, oh, what's the, it sometimes comes up quite a lot, what's the best piece of advice anybody's ever given you in your career? And it's a really simple one, but something which has really stuck with me and it always had an impact on me when I'm feeling a bit out of control over things. And it was probably one of my worst managers, actually, that I've ever had when I was very early on in my career, because he used to wind me up just for fun. But the best piece of advice he gave me was, don't worry about things you can't control. I am a natural worrier, overthinker, analytical of everything. And, you know, did that person mean when they said that? Or why didn't they text back? All that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that comes with your neurodiversity.
It does come with the ADHD, absolutely.
That's a killer, right?
Again, if you're aware of it, you know, you can manage these things better. But the control thing, you know, I used to just freak out about anything happening. And he'd be like, he literally just stood in front of me one day and went, why are you worrying about things you can't control? Stop worrying about things you can't control. And it just stuck with me. So thank you, Simon. Not for other things, but thanks for that word of wisdom. I won't mention surnames.
Oh, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's been really enjoyable. Thank you.
It's been absolutely brilliant, and we have a shared love of this subject anyway.
I know,
and it never gets boring.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
People always surprise you. Full of surprises.
Yeah, definitely. But that's the beauty of life, right?
It is. Yeah, always interesting.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Geek Chic, created for you because intelligent conversation never goes out of fashion. Your place for business brain candy. We hope this scintillating, insightful, education and emotional discussion has given you a very different view of the subject matter, and you've taken on board something that will significantly improve your business. Please remember to give us a thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, and tell all of your friends, and give us some feedback on our little production, brought to you in partnership with Tidal Films. This is Lisa from Sales Geek Essex, wishing you wisdom and wellness. Until next time.